already said that the St. Martin celebration goes together with cooperation with the museum. Could you tell us a little bit more about your collaborations?
Yes, I think we started the parade in 2011, still within and together with the culture program with the Peace Treaty of Utrecht for 3 years. Afterwards, then we had to do it as a particulier onderneming, hoe noem je dat? Private, and then we decided to cooperate with the 2 other strong organizations, an artist organization and the museum. So we, in fact, the strong cooperation with Museum Catherijn van Mens is still 3 years, but before we already cooperated in a way because the museum had a strong entrance in the schools, in the primary schools, and we organized that the parade should be an important promotion for the young people to go and to go door by door and to do it on another moment collectively. So for us, the museum made it possible to reach all the schools we could organize.
Could you just shortly mention what the cooperation is precisely about? How do you work together?
How we do it, yes, you can see tonight some of the
Not everybody.
Not everybody can see, but afterwards you can see it on the websites, how we organize the cooperation now. Because first the museum was interested to participate in a way in our initiative and open the accommodation to be there. In the end, we are changing now that the cooperation is so strong that we organize some of the sculptures who are made for the parade by a care center or by een uitvaartonderneming in het Engels. How you call that?
Caretaker.
A funeral undertaking together with the school. They organized and made the light sculptures for the parade. So in the last parade on Saturday, they were shown in the long parade, walking 1.5 hours. And now, from next year, one of that 2 light sculptures will be for a year within the museum. So the museum not only has their objects from the past, but will get new living objects of the parade. Yeah?
We come back to your example.
Yes.
Wijnand, you also work together with the museum. We just heard from Rien that the museum contacted you, right, Rien? How was that in your case? Did the Open Air Museum contacted you, or was it you who contacted the Open Air Museum? What were your roles?
Well, Jean and Helwig and I contacted the Open Air Museum. We were tipped by hoe zeg je dat? Stichting Doen and the sponsors who will take care of our project. Because we wanted to make a only documentary and go on travel to the Caribbean, Ghana and the Netherlands and to do something with that. And then they said, maybe it's interesting to bring it into the museum world, and they told us, just go talking with them, and we start talking with the Open Air Museum in Arnhem about the Kanonvenster in English. The topic of slavery and the colonial history of the Netherlands would be conserved in the museum. They have to bring it out. And we were talking about this, and the former director said, well, should take a house down in Curaçao and show it in Arnhem. And I said, no, if you are talking about intangible heritage, it's more interesting to do something with a tree. Because stories have been told, and like Anansi stories are told under the tree, and you can use them combined with colonial history, slavery history, because they're all been told in those things. And that was, they said, oh, that's an interesting way of thinking. So we decided to think on further, and of course you cannot tell the whole year through outside in Holland. It's more easier in the Caribbean or in Africa. And so we looked a long period for like a spot where we can bring out a real Nancy tree. So now we were located in the Meppel's tea house from Meppel, a city in Holland, and built in a tree in the house and made a television. So it was us who went to talk with them, because we know we were tipped by this Canon fence that must be told in Arnhem. But we worked also with the Zeeuws Museum, Maritiem Museum and other museums.
And another question to both of you who are experienced with the cooperation of museums. Why is it a good thing for you to work with a museum? Does it help safeguard your tradition? Do you want to have a broader audience? How can your tradition benefit from cooperation? Maybe first, Rien?
Anyhow, for us, the museum is an important, strong partner. We, as a voluntary association, are rather weak. We are dependent on money each year, again and again. The museum is a Rijksmuseum, is structural, so they can offer us back to be there and offer accommodation. But now for us it is a win-win situation over and again. So we want to bring back something over there, and they are entering. For example, the director of the museum is always walking. She is herself in the parade. So in a way there is a cooperation, and we are doing together now.
Well, at first it is a passion and a very important thing that I want to do, because of the history of slavery history not been told, and the colonial history of the Netherlands and the Caribbean and Suriname, that I thought it was very important that it will be in a museum. So it was very interesting when I heard the possibility. And I'm very proud that it's in Arnhem, and then we can show it to a larger audience, and we can change the perspective of the things by the films and the stories, and you get in real contact by the storytellers with the audience. So it's all about communication, what's important for me, and it works.
So now questions to the two ladies next to me, who are not so experienced with cooperation with museums, but I understood you correctly. I think that you both would like to work more or to work together with museum. So Fatima, what are your dreams?
Well, I've tried a lot to work with museums, but the thing is, I don't know people, so every time I get a chance to talk with anyone, I will tell them. But the problem with henna is that everyone has a certain thought what henna is, and most of all, it's very wrong. So, for example, I've contacted Tropen Museum because they have this Zizo Morocco exhibition. I told them everything, even that I'm on the list, but they were like, no, we already have someone that's doing henna tattoos. And I thought to myself, I'm not just someone who is doing henna tattoos. I'm just an authority in henna art. I know everything about henna art. And then I think the misconception is the thing that I have to fight first before I can even bring up my ideas to anyone, because they already have something in their minds like what henna is, and I have to fight that all the time, because henna art is such a rich tradition that's thousands of years old, and there's so much to tell about henna art, but I didn't get a chance so far, so that's why I'm here. Everyone, I'm here. So we'll see what happens next. I don't know.
You also told us that henna is not only the painting, but it's also the clothes, it's also the stories behind the paintings. It is, of course, the practice of painting.
Practice the technique.
Do you have an idea how you would like to see this in a museum?
Yeah, I know. I have this notebook at home. It's all filled with ideas, so that's not a problem.
Tell us one or two ideas.
Yeah, that's not a problem. I mean, for me, it would be like a henna odyssey, traveling all the henna countries and see pictures, but also see the clothing, hear the music, and even experience it, put it on people, let them try it, you know, so it would be very interactive. And as well, of course, history, a part of history as well. And I see the walls all decorated with the henna designs, and it will be an experience. And even my biggest dream, not only Holland, Amsterdam, Paris, New York, everywhere, traveling, exhibition. So,
thank you.
big dreams.
Leona, what are your dreams about cooperation with museums? Is Summer Carnival a tradition that belongs into a museum, that should go into a museum, or should the museum come to the Summer Carnival?
In the past, they had a few collaborations with some of the museums in Holland, and the first one was in 1994, where they had a collaboration with the Museum of Ethnology, and they hired Peter van Koningsbrugge to do a historical overview of the Summer Carnival, and there was a celebration, and there was a book of 10 years of Summer Carnival. And the next one was also when the Summer Carnival won the Prince Claus Award. It's an award for organizations that are very progressive within the development of culture and that. And then the director of the Kunsthal was a former director of Rijksmuseum, Wim Pijbes. He wanted to shed light on the new form of art for a carnival. So, and there were also a few exhibitions about the culture, the costumes, and the carnival float. And that was also in the Tropenmuseum. So they had a few collaborations, and when I think of it now, I think it would be a beautiful collaboration with the Museum of Rotterdam, the active collection. I thought, hey, it's very active. It's yeah. It's,
why doesn't have the carnival a stamp with the heritage Rotterdam?
We can't, but it's a great thing to work together on. Yes.
Yeah, because it's also living history, living heritage. So yeah, it's very dynamic. So that was one thing I thought about, and yeah.
Okay, thank you. Do you know why this cooperation didn't continue in former days? The cooperation with the Ethnological Museum, for instance?
Well, one thing I know about the Summer Carnival, and I had a conversation with Karel, it's very hard for institutions or the art and culture sector to see Carnival as a form of art. So the Carnival groups, they have a really, they don't really have a platform to show or express their art. And because of that, yeah, many people, they don't see it as a form of art. But we do. If you look at the costumes, yeah, for us, it's a form of art. It's, yeah. So that's one of the issues with Carnival, because that's why we don't have a lot of funds, because most of the funds are in the art and culture sector. And I think that sector needs another view, so that they could see that Summer Carnival is a form of arts, and then we will be eligible for a lot of more funds. Because every year it's very hard to get the funds, because they don't see us as art. Yeah.
Okay, you already told a little bit about the challenges. Wijnand and Rien, can you also tell us about something that went wrong, maybe? Because this is where we can really learn from, right? So, what are the challenges you face when you work together with museums?
Well, the challenge is that we always have to find volunteers to do the storytelling. So, that's just one of them. And to continue the exhibition, well, that is about money. So we have to find fund to continue this exhibition. And I think the importance is really there, and we need to continue. So this week I will be in Arnhem to talk about that. And we're going to start off an action, what you call it, a campaign to find new storytellers. And the interesting thing about today is that I think the tradition of storytelling is not connected only to people of Suriname, of the Caribbean, of Afro, but it's Afro-Caribbean people, and even we have Dutch people in the group now because it's a link with their history. So that's one of the important things I have to let the people know that everyone is important in the whole system of the Anansi storytelling.
I think in the 3 years we learned that it should be good that our attendant partner from the museum should be here, she knows really what it means. In the 3 years, the first year we had to accustom to the differences between the intangible heritage and the tangible heritage cooperation. Yes. So after 2 years. We could correct some experience in the first one. 3 years ago, we decided we should start a parade and end the parade from the museum. And that, in fact, in the end was not a good idea. So last year's we did again. We started on the Dome Square, on the big square with the Dome Tower, with the bells ringing, etc. And end in the museum. And now we learn, and for the museums as well, a lot of new people are entering in the museum. The first year when we started, we had an Arabic music ensemble playing, and then there were people who are accustomed what should be a museum for Christianity. Then you don't play Syrian music, for example. Now, last Saturday evening, within the museum, there was a big catching culture ensembles with all kinds of musicians, and it was great. So we learned together. So that's for me the most thing. You need time. You need time to have a structural cooperation to repair different things in a good way.
Okay, here we hear already a very important tip from you to all of us. Take your time to get to know each other. Wijnand, I know that you have to leave earlier, but
yeah.
Maybe before you leave, you could also give Fatima and Diana and all the museums sitting here a tip how a good collaboration can take place. So what would be your favorite, most important tip for us?
The most important tip is that being a storyteller is, I can tell you a story, but the most important thing is that as a storyteller, I know how to listen. And you have to listen to each other's needs, like Fatima is telling, she has a dream, and you have to make dreams come true. And even then you think, oh, well, not in my museum. You have to think as a human being, as persons here, busy with intangible heritage, museum world, how this dream can be made come true. Because my dreams, I hope still Anansi will continue, and I have to say there are a lot of people in Holland doing Anansi stories. I'm not the only one, but I see myself as the inspiration, and hopefully people see me. So I think if you listen to somebody's dream, you have to help them in one way or the other to come true.
Thank you. So I now, Wijnand, you have to leave. Thank you very much. I have a little present for you. Maybe, Albert, could you give it behind there? Okay, and now I would like to give the mic to you.
If there is a question for me, I can...
Yes, last question for Wijnand. Yeah, here it is.
I was wondering, Wijnand, what is your role now towards the storytellers that are telling the stories at the museum?
Well, I'm always there in the background, and we have a WhatsApp group where I participate in, and I can tell you their stories on the WhatsApp are really Anansi stories already. So I have to answer them in an Anansi storytelling way. So I'm still helping them to grow or to find out the things and the questions they have. I'm there with Jean. Together we are always in supporting them with any question they have. I do once a year or twice a year. I have my own theater where I give also storytelling training for Anansi. There's Anansi storytellers, but this year I want to do something for everybody who wants to be or more known with Anansi storytelling can come to these classes and join in. So that's the way I support. Is that right?
Okay. Thank you very much, Reinhard.
Thank you very, very much. Can you use your little present?
Yeah. Okay.
I have to go to the dentist, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
I don't want to go.
Okay. Then other questions to Rin, Fatima and Diana.
I have a question for Fatima. I was wondering if you could tell us how you learned about all the different signs in henna. Was it something that was given through to you by your family, or did you also learn in a different way?
Well, that's a good question, because in Morocco all these stories and meanings are lost as well. So my family didn't even know anything about it. So when I started doing henna, I just remember the patterns from what I've seen as a child, and then later I start looking for the meanings. And I did it by questioning, asking a lot of questions, and also studying. I mean, I'm not a scholar officially, but I've studied many books on Berber symbolism that can be found in carpets or pottery and stuff like that, and it all relates together. So by studying a lot, I get this whole picture of meanings. And of course, the oral traditions, the stories that are known, yeah, that's just part of my heritage. So I combine everything together.
Thank you.
Maybe it's very short. What kind of stories are told with these pictures, these paintings? What type of stories are they?
Okay, well, it's not like really a story, but for example, when a woman gets married in Moroccan culture, the symbolism is meant to protect her, because there is a strong folk belief in evil eye, and evil eye means the people that are jealous of you or they talk bad behind your back. And as a bride, you are very vulnerable, so you need a lot of protection. So there's a lot of protective symbolism in the henna designs. And as well, on a bridal event, all the participants share this henna. So, and henna itself carries spiritual blessings. So if you have henna, even if just a dot or just a hand palm full with henna, it gives you spiritual blessings. So that are the kind of stories that I'm talking about. Thank you.
Other questions? Yes, Esther, do this.
I have a question, because we are also talking about change and intangible heritage. In how far, especially for the carnival and the henna, interesting rituals and traditions, in what way could you imagine that there is a discussion or a debate about gender issues in relation to, for example, could it be that there is in 10 years a king, a carnival king, and could you imagine that there is henna on male hands? Do you already offer it, or is there a market for it, or is there a dynamics in that sense?
Well, if I go way, no, not really way back, the carnival on Curacao, there is a festival, it calls Tumba Festival, and people are making their own songs, and the song that wins, that's the song that will be played through, well, the most of the times throughout the parade. And there is a Tumba Koningin, there's a Tumba King, so there's a little bit gender over there. It's just the song that is the best, and if it is a man or a woman or a woman, they will choose that person. About a king election, I'm not really sure if they had thoughts about that. I will look at the chair of board. I will ask him. There's also another person who is helping with the organization. So I will give the mic to him.
So, in Holland we don't have a king, we only have a queen, because it's our policy that the parade will be guided by the Queen Summer Carnival.
And can I ask you then maybe, what if the museum you collaborate with suggests maybe we want to start a collection on, or we want to change the ritual, yeah, sort of the interference of the museum in this sense, or maybe a curator or a heritage professional or whatever. So is there, could it be that from another direction an incentive or a change comes about?
A very difficult question. The last 2 years we're working with the museum for, how you call it? On the Westzeedijk. Kunst en...
Kunsthal.
On the Westzeedijk. Kunsthal, yes, sorry. With the Kunsthal and there they're trying to work with us on groups from artists from Holland, and that's a totally different input. But we are getting used to it. They make their own floats, but it's not directly our kind of carnival. But in a way, it's a form for the artists in Holland to participate in our summer carnival, and we are very glad with that.
Okay, Fatima, I think the question was also for you, and I would say maybe you have also an idea on the second question. So the first was this gender aspect, the other one, what if a museum would ask you to do something you had never thought about?
Well, the first one, the gender question, is very interesting because in the past, even in Morocco, men did practice henna a little bit when they went out for war or struggles and stuff like that. And then under influence of Islam, it changed a bit to more a female art form. But in India, for example, there are a lot of men that practice henna and carry henna as well. And in the Western henna artists, there are getting more men who loves henna, and I feel open to it because it's intangible heritage, so it will change towards the future, and we cannot remain the same like forever. So I'm open for change, and I'm open for ideas as well. But I think the main thing is it has to be. You have to stay pure with what's the meaning of henna and stuff like that, so that is important. But it's not important if you practice on children or men or older woman or whatever. Henna is for everyone, so that's my idea about it.
Okay, and that was already also the answer to the second question. I see a few other, you were the first, and then...
Yeah, it's the same.
Okay, and then you, and then we have to stop, unfortunately, because we have to work in a workshop.
So you asked about gender and carnival. In Tilburg there's now a strong actual discussion. Over years and years there is a Raad van 11, so Council of 11 men, always men. And now is heavy daily discussion in newspaper from bottom up, but also from ladies from the council, from the local government, that they want, there must be a carnival princess. So, but there's a lot of discussion around.
Okay, and then the last question?
Yeah, also a little bit more elaborating on the gender question. What I thought was very interesting about your henna story, Fatima, was that you mix certain traditions already. The question is partly for the other speakers. How do you see super diversity, which we were discussing this morning, and what does it mean for your tradition, for your intangible heritage?
Maybe first, maybe let me do it first because my answer is quite simple, and maybe their answer is more complicated. But the super diversity is a key to the future of henna in Europe, because we are getting inspired by so many different cultures, and that means the change of patterns, the change of rituals. And I think that's what I tried to say in my little presentation as well. We are on a very exciting page of the history of henna book, because this has never happened before. Of course, cultures in the past were always inspired by each other, but the amount that is happening right now, and especially with social media as well, yeah, we can create anything. It's really super exciting.
Yes, if you talk about super diversity within the summer carnival, yeah, you can see there are a lot of communities from the Caribbean and yeah, all the tropical Caribbean communities, and they are all participating at the summer carnival. So you can see that there's also something like them and us. We are, well, us, we are the summer carnival, and there's a line between that, and you can also see that in, yeah, well, maybe not, maybe. I think you can also see that in the funds that are being given. It's like, okay, well, that's your culture, and we have our culture. So, yeah, we hope that it will go in the positive direction. That is not them and us, but it's us together, because it is on the list of inventory of Holland. So it is now a intangible heritage of Holland. So it is a little bit an acknowledgement. Is that the word? Yeah. But yeah, we have to see it in more forms, and that we will be accepted as culture of Holland. Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell perhaps one thing for us. The super diversity discussion is crucial for the development of the Utrecht Parade. For us, we are inspired greatly since years by the Seneca Parade in Brussels, and now we are cooperating with all the different countries. It's constantly we have the experience of how many differences there are and how many commonalities, how you call it, common things. So our the Dutch approach is the most secular within. So since I'm 10 years involved now, and I'm experiencing totally different experiences than is for a city, an urban development is the Seneca Parade. They are playing with groups, drummers, and in our parades and the other way around. But at the same time, we are now developing the St. Martin route through Europe, and we are meeting people, for example, in Ypres, a peace city, and at the same time the patron St. Martin, and the St. Martin in Ypres has Black Pete, has a Santa Claus how you say, identity. So we have to find the dialogues together to see all the differences and to find the common ways and passions to organize these kinds of celebrations. And in the end, I had always the feeling, in the end, the celebrations are connecting. When you are meeting the people, making things together, is connecting, in my experience. I hope it will stay a long time.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank you for your very inspiring talks and answers you gave, and I'm sure we will go on in the workshops. I would like to thank you with a little present and give them a warm hand, please.